and welcome to the Press Start podcast, Press Start Australia's video game discussion podcast, brought to you today by SteelSeries and their new range of Alias microphones. They're mics made for gamers, and a big shout out SteelSeries again for kitting us out and sponsoring this show. I'm your host, Ewan, joined today by my fellow gamers and co-hosts, Shannon.
Hello.
Brody.
Hello.
And James.
Hello. I'm back.
On the show today, I'm glad you're back, James. It's always a relief
always here
to have you
last
back.
Week.
On the show today, we're going to be talking about the surprise results of a survey of young gamers in the US. Can't wait to talk about that one. Changes to the Game Awards and Bytedance backing out of gaming. But first, Shannon, in a surprise tech time with Shannon, I want to ask you more about this like Miu Mini thing that you've got and you've been playing. What games have you been playing on that thing exactly?
A lot of Simpsons wrestling I've been playing. What else have I been playing? Some old school FIFA, some Crash, Chamber of Secrets.
Now, I've got some questions about this thing. How many games actually come preloaded on it?
None, for the purpose of not getting sued
I see.
by anyone.
It's a blank slate.
No, I actually don't know. It depends on like what size memory card you get. Yeah, but it's easy enough to get games onto it. Like it's just an SD card.
If you're that way inclined.
If you're that way inclined. But yeah, I'm like, I know that there was a whole market out there for these little things, but I'm like super impressed with how like cheap they are. And how many systems they run and run well. Like I saw one and I was bugging say for like $40, and I just think that's a steal.
Yeah, it looked like it was listed on like Alibaba though. Like
they're all from like factories.
Yeah,
and so that's how they get around certain.
I don't know which one to trust, so I'll need a proper link, I think.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a cool little market. I love that the retro space is like booming.
Yeah, I think it's just like a nice time when there's like so much emphasis on like Steam Decks and kind of portable gaming there, and obviously the PlayStation Portal kind of far away, that there's like a way, I suppose, to access some of these retro games as well. And it's a nice kind of way to bundle them all up, I suppose. But yes, I get that it's maybe not totally above board. All right, let's get into the rest of the show. And I'm eager to quiz you all about a poll conducted on behalf of the ESA that has found that video game gifts are top of the Christmas lists amongst American kids, with subscriptions topping the list and in-game currency also coming in ahead of physical games. We've talked a lot on the podcast about games as a service. We've kind of asked the question, who wants games as a service titles? Like, who is still playing these things? Who's dropping all this money? We all seem to be infatuated with single player games, and they kind of seem to be the ones cleaning up at the awards. But clearly there is demand. James, are we out of touch?
No, I don't think so. I feel like I've always had my
think
finger
long
on
and
the
hard
pulse.
about it, though.
No. I mean, I don't think I'm out of touch in that this doesn't surprise me. Yeah, like, I mean, because just to recap, in case I may not have been listening, what demographic is this that wants subscriptions and currency?
My understanding was younger generations. Let me see if I can find out what sort of age bracket though were included as part of this.
I just think like young people are classically, I don't know, they don't think of the future, right? Like I don't, and my biggest thing would,
and they haven't had it. They haven't had physical currency, right? So
I thought you was gonna say they don't have futures, but I don't know if that's
maybe not.
Maybe.
Well,
Yeah,
hey,
it's
climate change going the way it's going.
Depends on who you are. Oh wow, Yui, politics in the podcast already. Everyone's gonna switch off. No, but what were we talking about? Yeah, I don't know. Like, that honestly doesn't surprise me. Is it like good? No, I think it's terrible. Like, I just think like all this money that you're sinking into like fucking Roblox, like hundreds of dollars at a time, and then I don't know, in like 5 years' time when you're like an adult and your brain's developed and you realize it's all shit. Like, what do you know? Like, what have you got to show for all that money that you've sunk into it? Like, it's never really made sense to me.
Yeah, I can understand as well. Like, as
maybe, but I feel like games still sell, so maybe that obviously they're selling in markets that are older. So
yeah, and I kind of like as a kid, I probably didn't play as a like bigger breadth of games as I do now. Like I probably had, I mean, didn't have the disposable income for starters, so like I would just kind of play the one game I had, as much as I possibly could. And I feel like there's kind of maybe it's easier to do that nowadays as a kid. Like you could just have FIFA and in theory play that all year and buy all your ultimate packs or whatever the hell you do in FIFA. Or like, maybe Fortnite's your vice and that's kind of what you're spending all your money on. God knows I play a lot of Rocket League, so that there's an element of this true that it's still true for me. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe like it's something you grow out of, I guess is the point I'm trying to say. And maybe this kind of survey, which by the way was for kids aged 10 to 17, maybe this is something they'll grow out of. But clearly it's a lucrative market. I mean, I guess like, we better take this perhaps with a pinch of salt though, because this survey was just of a sample of about 500 kind of American teens, I guess. So it may not be representative of the whole world things, or maybe even kind of understates the reality of the situation. What about you, Brody? Did the results of this survey surprise you at all?
Not hearing the age demographic, no. Like, I mean, we know how popular games like Apex and Roblox and Fortnite are, and obviously they keep going today because of their digital currencies, even GTA 5, for Christ's sake, like Shark Bucks or whatever the hell they are.
Shark cards? Yeah.
Shark cards, there you go. Like, how well do they do? Like, probably very, very well. So, no, it doesn't surprise me. I'm more surprised that maybe, like, the subscriptions topping the list. Like, you would assume that means, like, PS Plus and Game Pass and stuff like that. So, that probably speaks to them understanding value to a degree, value for dollar. So, yeah. No, I don't think so. But, I feel like it's similar to how I don't listen to the top 40. I think I'm definitely out of touch in terms of this side of gaming still, but yeah.
I would love to know how they defined subscriptions, like if it is PlayStation Plus, Game Pass, that kind of thing,
or World
of
Warcraft.
If it's like I highly doubt it's World of Warcraft
as an example.
Maybe it's like battle passes as well. I don't know. I was kind of thinking maybe battle passes kind of fell into that sort of category. But yeah, I don't know. It's perhaps maybe that's more of the in-game currency side of things. It's certainly a far cry from what it was like for me as a kid. Like I always wanted a game, and I guess there were like kind of games that I knew were coming around in that Christmas time. It's like, okay, cool. Like I'll put that on my list to Santa. I distinctly remember like getting Uncharted 3, I think it was, or maybe 2, and like Skyrim kind of around the same sort of time because they were kind of both releases late in the year, and that being like a big Christmas for me. But
sorry, did you say you got those as a kid?
Well, I wasn't a kid. Maybe I was like when did those games come out? Skyrim was like 2011 or something, right? Yeah. Okay, 2011. I was I was early teens at that point, but the same sort of age demographic that we're talking about here.
I was out of high school. That's fucked up.
It is.
Shannon. Sorry, I've asked James a question already. Let me go back to Shannon.
Yeah, okay.
What should you get gamers in your life for Christmas this year?
Games.
Games.
That's I
feel like proper single player title. Teach them young.
Tell you what, they should get them some SteelSeries hardware.
Yeah, a SteelSeries mic, Alias Pro. I feel like credit. It's always safer just to get someone credit, unless you like know what someone wants specifically. I think like getting them like an Amazon voucher, or a PlayStation store voucher will always just be better than getting them a game. Unless
just like figure out what their console choice is and get the gift card
or a controller. I always love like a controller for Christmas or something like that I wouldn't normally buy myself. Like some new faceplates, PS5 Slim, a new vertical stand, if you will.
I'm not listening if you're trying to get me to buy any of these things.
James still owes me a birthday present, so let's all just give him ideas.
Yeah, thanks.
Amazing.
I think everyone buys me vouchers because I at least say I've got everything that I want, which is probably true.
Well, I've forgotten what the in-game currency is in Rocket League, what those coins are called. but I would take a bundle of those. I don't know if I've got much time left to buy that Lightning McQueen skin yet, Brody, but I would love to do that if it did cost like $40 or whatever insane
it was
amount
like
it cost.
$32. Yeah, it was worth it. I've played it with it 0 times. Thanks,
I think, like, in fairness, yeah, sorry, we need to cue that up. In fairness, like, games as recitals, at least the ones that I've kind of touched, they do a pretty good job of, like, having things there for you to buy. Like, I've fallen victim to a number of Apex Legends and Rocket League purchases now. Fortnite, I've got a bunch of skins in, and like, some of those I installed the game back just to buy the skins. I liked it so much. Should I ever go back and play the game? So I very much pulled a Brody sort of thing, but it's not really come to fruition. Anyhow, let's crack on with the next topic, and that is the Game Awards fast approaching. Jeff Keighley shed some light on some changes that are happening this year in a recent Q&A, I should say. He addressed the controversy of Dave the Diver being nominated for Best Indie, despite the developing part of $1 billion company. He said, quote, "It's independent in spirit. It's probably a relatively small budget game, but it's from a larger entity. But even something like Dredge is published by Team 17, so is that independent or not? Because you have a publisher, ? Shannon, I know you played a lot of Dave the Diver. You quite liked it. Do you agree with Jeff Keighley's assessment of it here within the context of the Best Indie category?
Like, I don't know. I feel for Jeff on this one because I feel like he's being roasted a lot. But then, like, he can obviously pull rank, but like, we all voted for these games, right? So, like, if enough people felt that it was indie for whatever reason, like, I don't know if he's the one to step in, because that just sets a weird precedent, which I don't think we can talk too much about it. But, like, there's no guidance given on anything. So I feel like for him to do that would be a weird thing to do, unless, like, people are being paid or there was some kind of collusion. But I don't think that's what happened here.
That was the point he made as well, that, like, ultimately it's the 120 kind of panels of critics that kind of put 100%. In the nominations.
So yeah, it's a tough one because, like, Baldur's Gate 3, like, yeah, I don't know. It's hard because if it depends what you're going. If, like, you're going to have team sizes, I think Dave the Diver was built by a handful of people. Like, even though it is part of Nexon, like, it was built by an indie like team, but I know it's not an indie. But then you could say that for a lot of, like, Devolver titles or Dredge. It feels like an indie game, but I get by definition it's not. I think it's just more around terminology and, like, redefining what indie means. But I don't know if you're ever going to come up with something that everyone's happy with. But I hate that, like, I feel like people are shitting on Dave the Diver, like, just in general, and saying I've just seen a lot of negative feedback about the game itself, which is a shame because it's actually a really great game. And a cool project within a massive studio.
And that's kind of my thinking as well, right? Because, like, regardless of who's developing a game, chances are there's been funding that's kind of come from somewhere, like from a publisher or investor or, like, a government fund or whatever. And which isn't to say that they're kind of all in a level playing field, but it is difficult to kind of pick apart the nuance and And I think, like, there's an element of it's indie and vibe, right? Like there's kind of
indie's a vibe,
but yeah, I don't know. Like, there was an example I think I saw Greg Miller tweet about. It was like, if Naughty Dog kind of spawned a small team and developed something, like, smaller and focused with a smaller budget and all that, would we consider that indie? And I don't think you would, but maybe it's, like, far more subjective now than it ever has been.
Like Pentiment. Would you say Pentiment was indie?
Sure, yeah. That's a great example.
Like, you probably would.
I don't know.
But I don't know. Like, it's hard. And the conversation's just becoming, like, exhausting because, like, every time it comes up, Shannon's right, people shit on Dave the Diver, but then in the same breath, they're like, that can't be indie. But also, even though Baldur's Gate ticks the box, technically, that game's too big, so you can't really be in it either. So it's like everyone's just playing fast and loose with definitions, and it's just becoming, it's a bit... it's just bogging it all down, and it's not making it any fun.
Say Elon Musk funded someone to make a game and just sunk billions of dollars into it, like, but it didn't have a publisher. Like, is that, like, there's so many weird nuances to it. But then I don't know. I can see why people aren't happy with it, but I really don't think Jeff is to blame.
Yeah.
I don't really know what he would do in that situation.
I think critics just have to own it and like apply a level of, you know, good judgment to it, and if people are unhappy about this particular nomination, then like we as an industry, I suppose, as like critics, like maybe need to take that on notice and be a bit more diligent in what's put forward in future.
Yeah,
perhaps.
Another category.
Another change to come out of the Q&A that Jeff announced was that they were moving away from the world premiere branding. As you might be familiar with the years past, you know, they'll go world premiere and it'll be a trailer for a game that no one's ever seen before. Was that impression terrible? Anyhow, they're removing it because they wanted each announcement to have its kind of an even footing, like sit on a level playing field, regardless if it's something that we've seen before or not. James, do you think this at all kind of diminishes the impact of the Game Awards, or is it a sign that it's kind of maturing and people know that the announcements are going to be big, regardless if they've labeled them world premiere or not?
I mean, technically, you know, everything that they showed was world premieres, right? Like, they never really replayed a trailer we'd already seen. Unless it was an ad. Like, there were ad breaks.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But do you know what I mean? They wouldn't be like, we've got this new trailer for Destiny. Like, do you know, like, everything has always been a world premiere. Like, so it kind of doesn't really make sense. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't.
Yeah, like everything's new.
Like, everything is new anyway. Like, I mean, unless they're talking about like a new game announcement. Like,
that's what I always took it to mean. Like, it's the first time we're seeing that game.
I think it was always.
But then that would
like
always
get.
Game. I feel like that would always get muddied. Where like, oh, there's a new Armored Core coming, but here's the world premiere gameplay. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, to me, it was always a bit like of a.
Do we think this is a way to just disguise ads and not have that differentiation between like things being paid for and not being paid for?
I think it's just a way to temper expectations with like crazy people on the internet, honestly. Like, I feel like that has to, you know, because I've already kind of been like, oh yeah, nothing fun or exciting will be announced in my head, even though that's probably not true. Like, you know, but it just sounds less dramatic. And I think if we can get to a point where these Game Award shows move more away from, say, paid ad space to like a proper, you know, industry awards kind of situation, similar to maybe what the DICE Awards are. Is it awards? DICE Awards, whatever. I don't know. I can't remember what they're called. But you know, I don't think that's a bad thing.
I kind of feel like we don't need the Game Awards to be that. Like, I think the Game Awards can be its own thing and kind of maybe have the more kind of commercial side to it, because like the Joystick Awards exist, because the BAFTAs exist, because DICE exists. Like, there's other awards, and there's awards, I should note as well, going back to the Day of the Diver conversation, that are actually like, you know, a kind of peer nominated and stuff, which I think is a really nice approach too. And you know, we've kind of like collectively put stock in the Game Awards, and maybe because they've kind of brought in the announcements there too as well, and it's kind of quite a big show, and credit to Jeff for doing that. But it needn't be the only Game Awards that we value in the way that we do. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, but
I think
I would
to your
argue
point there,
it
Shannon,
is.
I think it's going to be obvious where the ads are anyway, versus what's hey, this is cool that we've got the opportunity to show you this. I thought James had another point.
Oh no, I'm just saying, like I would argue this is the one that everyone pays attention to. Like, I don't think anyone. Tell me which game won best game at the Golden Joysticks. Like,
that's what I'm saying. But that's entirely
like Baldur's Gate
down to the public, right? I think it was Baldur's Gate.
It was rhetorical. Yeah. Thank you, though, Brody. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. If nothing else, it'll save like 2 minutes of runtime, because we won't have to hear the same thing.
It was. I think James's initial point was right though. Like, it was naff at times where it was like world premiere, and it was like you were treating Death Stranding 2 in the same light as I don't even fucking know, like
Witchfire.
some
Fall
random-
Guys DLC.
Yeah, like, and that's not to
Yeah.
shit on, but like, it
Nightingale.
just felt like you would have it on everything, like when it just didn't need to be on anything.
Yeah. I think it's wise that like, yeah, don't set expectations any differently than they need to be, and like, you know, they're already kind of up against it to meet the high expectations of gamers. You know,
I'm
why
excited.
slap that world premiere?
I feel like
element
we
to
haven't
it?
had announcements in ages. Like I feel like it's been.
But is
so
that him
quiet
saying
Yeah,
like
there's
now
lots of
don't
unknowns.
expect lots of announcements? Do you know what I mean? Like I
Well,
don't know.
I'm curious, like, do you think this is going to rule out seeing GTA 6 at the event? Like, I feel like it was already a pretty long shot. We've said before, we think
Nah,
Rockstar probably
I
just
feel like
do their
Rockstar
own thing, but
always wants to make their own noise and like own the week or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like if Jeff had secured this for the show, he'd be like, you know what, we're going to hang on to the world premiere thing a little while longer.
I could see them announcing it next week and revealing a trailer, and then someone being on stage to talk about something, or just showing a little 10-second snippet or something. I feel like it's, I don't know, if you were Jeff, like
No one
you'd
is
want to
gonna
make
care
that
about
happen.
Anything that happens on that stage,
But
if
no
the
one's going to
GTA
care
trailer drops
regardless.
before.
Like if it drops next week, like it's going to make the whole event
Yeah.
and any announcements seem stupid. I think that you have to.
At least if
you
it
have
comes
to
a
have
couple of days
something.
after, then there's like 48 hours of people to go, oh, wow,
You'd
yeah,
just-
Wolverine looks sick. And then
You'd be
GTA
nervous
6.
if you were like, what if they drop it Thursday night next week? Like,
Yeah.
you may as well just not have the show. Like, I know that's brutal, but like,
I mean, to be honest, I'm nervous about each and every episode that goes out right now. Like, I could, between the time of me, you know, stopping this, editing it, and posting it, we could have a GTA 6 trailer.
if it happened tonight, I
and-
think we'd have to do a special episode or something. It'd just be too long.
Midnight
Yeah.
Another
Mass.
week. Yeah.
I did have. Oh, there was actually a couple more changes that I wanted to discuss too. Another interesting note was that he was considering adding new awards for Best Remake and Best Supporting Actor. Brody, would you support those additions to the awards given away on the night?
Not remake, because I feel like it would just, I don't know. People
Service
already get their
Resident Evil
nose out of
games.
joint about remakes, like because it's, you know, creatively stifled, so it's only going to encourage people maybe to make more. It then diminishes the remakes that make it into the Game of the Year thing. Like, do they then not make that? Like, you know, it's sort of, it's a bit weird. And then I don't know. I've heard arguments against like supporting actor because they already do enough for the, I guess, the performance side of things, and they should do more for the, you know, creative, like really more in the guts sort of development side of games for the awards, rather than focus on performance and narrative and stuff. And I sort of can see that, and it's already long. So I mean, I think having like one catch-all performance award is fine, because you've seen plenty of people get in there that are in supporting roles. So I think that's fine. I don't think we need to add any more awards at this stage. I don't think.
Yeah, I think you've convinced me. Actually, I feel like supporting actor I was kind of getting around because I feel like we're seeing more and more stronger performances within games, and maybe the one category doesn't kind of give it enough room. But thinking on it now, like I think people are pretty good at even if you're not necessarily like a central kind of character
if you
or a
steal a
central
scene,
role in a
people
game.
know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's-
Like
yeah,
no matter
it's-
how big or small the
It's
part,
different to
it's noticed.
movies as well. Like a lot of games, it's not about any kind of acting or actor or voices or motion graphics. Like, so I do think that like let's focus on the gaming aspects. And
there's probably way more that could be added from a developer side. You're right.
we already. I feel like they don't show like half the categories already on the main show.
It's
so
like
to add any more.
it's like the
there's a
primetime
bunch
Emmys.
like rattled through in the pre-show. That's for sure. Lastly, he mentioned tightening up security this year after the two notable stage intrusions we've had the past couple of years. Shannon, do you reckon it's going to go smoothly this year?
What was it? There was one on opening night live as well, wasn't there?
Oh, was there?
I'd hope so, because I think the public are back. Can't remember if they're back this year, but they've opened more. Or there was something about the public having a bigger presence this year. And I feel like people are going to want their moment in the sun. So I hope for Jeff's sake.
I feel like
not tackled
because
when
it's
Dave the Diver
happened
wins
so much before that
Best
it's
Indie.
kind of like a trend now.
Yeah,
as awful as
exactly.
that sounds. So for
Was
me,
it the same kid?
there's gonna be.
I thought it was the same kid that,
I
like,
think it was.
yeah. Didn't he get up like once saying something about Trump?
No, that was something else. I think that was like he did it at something else.
Yeah, mate. Oh, was it the Oscars?
I
Maybe
don't
I don't know.
It's interesting though, because like the Elden Ring one, like he just kind of walked up with them, so like
Yeah.
they would have to kind of pre-vet who's going up on the stage, unless they just kind
Cast
of like
of thousands for
separate
Dave the Diver.
separate the crowds out somewhat. Maybe I'm sure there's ways about it, but yeah, fingers crossed it goes smoothly. Before we move on, though, I want to tell you more again about these new SteelSeries mics that we're all using. As you know, listening to the podcast, we're big fans of SteelSeries and all the stuff. We're all kitted out with headsets and keyboards and mice, etc. But these are the new Alias mics, and they're fantastic for gamers like us. We love that they're professional sounding audio quality, but super simple to set up. In the case of my microphone, it's just a single USB-C cable that plugs straight in. Shannon's got a bit of a funky one, the Alias Pro, that comes with a DAC that it connects to via XLR, but it gives him some funky controls to the side. Both of them, though, have a 3 times larger capsule than other kind of similar microphones on the market, which helps pick up our audio quality a bit better as well. So big fan of these new microphones. Big shout out to SteelSeries for hooking us up with these and supporting the show. But the next topic I have for you all is Bytedance backing out of games. And these come according to reports from Bloomberg that they're going to announce that they'll be exiting the video game business, affecting hundreds of jobs as the company scraps in development projects and attempts to shed itself of existing titles. In a tweet, Second Dinner, the developers of the popular Marvel Snap, said regardless of any changes at Newverse, which is the Bytedance subsidiary, Snap will continue to operate and flourish in the future. Flourish in the future. I just kind of loved that sentiment. It struck me as a little bit of an odd thing to say, but positive news, I guess, given the context. James, coming to you on this one first. What does it say about the state of the industry that someone even as seemingly successful as Bytedance is backing out of games in such a seemingly big way?
It's hard to know.
It's over.
Yeah.
Let me just Google what Bytedance do.
Yeah.
The parent company of TikTok.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I can't help but think maybe it's a case of like, oh, we made 20 billion 3 years ago. Now we're only making 15 billion. Like, time to shutter it. Like, is it a situation like that? Like, I doubt that they're, because aren't they involved with Marvel Snap? I'm making that up.
Yes.
Yeah. Good to know you're paying attention, James. I just read a whole statement about Marvel Snap, but that's right.
No, just I was actually looking up who Bytedance was. But yeah, I was like double preparing somehow. But yeah, yes, I don't know. I don't know enough about this company to be able to comment, but like, I genuinely think it might be something. It's like Shannon has said many times before. I think a lot of these companies saw all the money on the table from 2019 to 2021, and they, did what they needed to do to expand, and then obviously the returns weren't as big when life went back to normal. So
yeah. Do you think that's the case here, Shannon?
I think so. I had no idea that Marvel Snap was published by Bytedance. Like that struck me as being really odd.
Not indie.
No. Yeah, I could see this being the thing that would have made them a lot of money at some point. And I'd have to think that, I know you played a lot, Brody, but I would have to think that it's dwindled a little bit in playership, and the money probably has as well. So I think they're probably getting ahead of it. They know that they're not going to have a hit like that again. And they'll focus their efforts on TikTok.
The thing is, with a lot of these games is like, yes, you can get easy money with, I don't know, what do you buy, Brody? Is it gems or crystals or Marvel men?
Yeah, look, you can get gold. You can get stuff to upgrade your cards. Yeah.
Have you spent any money?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Like, when I was playing it, like, I spent quite a bit of money. I haven't played in a few months. I told myself I was going to get off, and I did.
You're the problem. You're the reason they should have played.
I bombed it. I've bombed Newverse.
I think that a lot of these people, especially the people who are higher up who make these decisions, maybe don't fully grasp that, yes, you can get that money in quite easily, but then you need to keep that content pipeline flowing and very regularly. So, I mean, I don't know how regularly Marvel Snap gets updates, but, like something like that, you need to keep people engaged. You can't just kind of rest on your laurels, and that to get people to make shit like that, you've got to employ people for so long. And then, I understand. This is like going back to what we were talking about before with games as a service. Like, there's just so much involved compared to people think it might just be easy money quickly, but there is long term a lot of kind of plans you have to make. So,
and just like, I think like because someone has a hit once, like with Marvel Snap, like I always think of Pokemon Go and like how many games Niantic pushed out with like Harry Potter. There were like 5 other different ones that I never knew anyone that played. And obviously Pokemon Go is still really successful, but like just because that worked and still does, it's not a success that you're going to be able to replicate it again.
Yeah, I feel like people kind of scale a little bit too quickly in some ways, and that's the point you made before, Shannon, where like COVID, people saw all of this money in games and kind of plowed in there, and presumably like with substantial investment as well, and then kind of normality's kind of returned, and it's proven not to be as lucrative as they perhaps saw, and we've seen a lot of people kind of balance out, and I think until like I had the question in my notes as well to ask you, like, when does this sort of period of instability in the industry end? Because I feel like it just every week we're talking about more layoffs and cuts and people backing out the industry in some sort of way. Like, I don't think that ends until we kind of settle back at this equilibrium. Like, COVID was this sort of big disruptor, and until we kind of get a better long-term read of people's kind of playing habits, it's gonna
they want us to stop spending, Ewan, so we can't be buying anything. Otherwise, it's just going to get worse and worse. I don't know how it makes sense, but
one day that's going to impact, right? Like, I think already we're seeing households like cut back.
Is that more politics?
Without getting into like an economics,
economics
true.
Podcast. Like, what's more unnecessary than $120 in a game? Like,
if you're trying to pay a mortgage, pay rent, etc., you're not going to be, or you shouldn't be buying skins in Fortnite. We're just gonna have to kind of reach an equilibrium point, which is just gonna happen in
it'll
time.
Bounce back.
It's gonna be a slow process.
This has always happened.
It ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, there's so much competition out there as well. Like, I feel like it's particularly hard to cut through. And in the case of Niantic, you pointed to, like, they were kind of cannibalizing themselves to an extent there by introducing essentially the same game just with a different property attached. And clearly it was well suited for Pokemon. Maybe I find this more interesting than the rest of you. You're giving me funny expressions.
No, I'm still, I can't believe Bytedance were behind Marvel Snap.
I just don't need to be made aware of the world collapsing around me. Like, I know what's happening, but I'm like a little bit blissfully ignorant. But it is. It's I mean, we always say it's been a really good year for games, but obviously behind the scenes, it really hasn't. It's been like almost the opposite, which is like bizarre. Like, so many good games coming out. But
it just comes back to like all these companies need to make money and want to make money. Like, it's all about games and art, but like that is we're idiots if we think that's not the case for any publisher.
Like, I guess at the end of the day, it's a competitive landscape, and if you want to see a game kind of do well, then you need to play it and you need to pay for it. And if people don't, then it's not going to be around forever. And the team that makes it won't be around forever.
It'll be too late.
Maybe Brody can become an angel investor for Bytedance.
Let's see what season it is.
Yeah.
Ooh. I have a rapid fire question for you all. EA is working on a technology that would allow you to voice your own character in game. It would work by recording a sample of your voice and then creating a vocoder capable of recreating your voice. Apparently, it could even kind of get like tone and inflection and stuff kind of right as well, if this technology is all to eventuate. My rapid fire question for you all: do we want this? Is this a thing that we like the idea of, EA copying and replicating our voices? Brody, how about you first?
I'm good, thanks.
James?
So I don't. This is like the one thing I could.
Rapid fire?
No, I'm not. I'm breaking the rules. I think it's actually cool, and I can't help but think if it wasn't EA, if it was someone else like Larian or Remedy, people are like, "Wow, so cool, so clever." I think like I'm gonna like put this is. I saw a lot of people shitting on this. I was actually gonna tweet about it, but then I saw Brody tweeted about it. I didn't want Brody to think I was subtweeting him, so I just wanted to keep the peace. But like, I think it's a genuinely cool idea because like when only not to replace. I mean, I think naturally people are being a little bit cynical about it, and I understand this and thinking it's to replace paying an actor to voice a game, right? Like, but what I think it is, like, just imagine like Dragon Age, you make your Inquisitor, and you can make it sound like you. You just like,
but
do some.
So many games just don't
into the mic,
have,
and then it turns
like they have a silent protagonist. Like,
I think
they could,
I don't
if you're
want
gonna
an
raise
Inquisitor.
I
silent
hate my own
protagonists-
voice.
Yeah,
I would
g'day.
never want to
What's
hear
going
that.
on?
I just think it's.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't.
Jesus.
Oh,
I don't know if
wow,
we've
okay.
ever had a C-bomb on the podcast before.
Yeah, sorry. Cut that.
Yeah.
Lucky we're not live.
I think that's a cool idea. Like, I don't necessarily think, you know, it's. I don't know if I do it now. The more that I think about it, but I think if you
You would set all of the characters to your voice. I can see it now. Just a world of noise.
Yeah. But so many people do put a lot of effort into customization, and people really want those options in their games, right? Like I know so many people who make their character look like themselves. So being able to like make yourself voice your character, like I think that's a really cool idea.
Yeah.
Like your shepherd could be you in Mass Effect. Like I don't know. Like I thought that is a great idea, but
I think it sounds really cool. I'm all for it. You know, maybe you could even like take a SpongeBob audio recording and play it in, and every character could be voiced by SpongeBob. Like Who knows?
Well, I was about to say, like, I hope it's not used to like kind of just cheat people, like voice actors and stuff, out of work and all that. Like, I'm hoping that that's not the intention. But yeah,
I hope it doesn't go so far as like, hey, we noticed your friends also playing this game and they uploaded their voice sample. Like, do you want your companion to be Larry? And you come across like
Ewan in like a town in Dragon Age. Or like everyone who listens to this podcast will come across all of us in like a town.
It kind of reminds me now of
cool.
well, this is very much not a rapid fire question anymore, but it kind of reminds me of Cult of the Lamb, how you could like name all of your cultists, and I named them after my mates, and then when something horrific happened to them, I would just screenshot it and send it to them. Maybe that makes me a bad person. I don't know. What the Wiki is the Press Up podcast game show with the previous week's winner is part of a Wikipedia page for an unknown game, and we, the contestants, must guess the game. A point is awarded for each correct guess, with the round ending once a person bags himself 2 points. Last week, that was Brody tying with James in first place on 33 points apiece. Shannon just behind in second on 29 points. Kieran in third with 27 points. Myself on 25. Harry and James W. tied with a point apiece. Still no one. Nil point. It's saddening. As last week's winner, Brody is in the hosting chair today.
Yeah. All right, I'm just trying to work out where to start reading this thing. Just
at the top.
Yeah, well.
So have you rigged this so Shannon and I get the points and you sabotage James?
No. I think James will probably do quite well. All right. I'm just going to start down here. The game was a commercial success, selling over 3 million copies within 10 weeks of its launch. It became the fastest selling title of 2006, the second most played game over Xbox Live during 2007, and one of the best-selling Xbox 360 games. The game received universal acclaim for its gameplay and detailed visuals, and is considered to be one of the greatest.
Is this Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare?
It is not. It is considered to be one of the greatest video games ever made, winning over 30 Game of the Year awards in 2006 and helped popularize the use of a cover system. A remaster.
Shannon.
I think I did hear Shannon first. Could be lag. Could be the lag.
Is it Gears of War?
It is Gears of War. Well done.
Well done, Shannon.
Well done, Shannon. Look, I do apologize if there's lag. I sincerely heard Shannon
I think I was first.
It was a dead heat on my end.
Okay, well, look, we'll hear it in the playback. All right.
Yeah.
Shannon on 1, everyone on nil point. Okay. Moving on. This game is distributed as 3 different game modes using the same engine, and each has similar graphics, art assets, and game mechanics. The first mode is a player versus environment cooperative game with 4 players collaborating toward. Oh, Ewan.
I'm just punching. Is it Fortnite?
It is Fortnite.
Let's go.
Well done. Well done. It should go without saying there's no theme here, but anyway. Okay, moving
games.
on to...
Yeah,
What
I
was
was going to say.
They're both epic.
Some commonalities.
Well, that ends right here. So,
Clue.
this game... yeah, I feel like I can say that. I don't think anyone will know what that means. The game is a puzzle platform video game developed by Number None and is considered to be an indie game. The game was originally released in August 2008 for the Xbox 360's Xbox Live Arcade service. Ports were developed for PC and Mac in 2009. Who cares? The game was Such and Such, whoever it is, designed the game as a personal critique of contemporary trends in video game development. Sounds very pretentious. He self-funded the 3-year project, working with webcomic artist David Hellman to develop the artwork. An anniversary version is planned for release for PlayStation 4, PS. James.
Is it Braid?
It is Braid. Well done, James.
Well done.
I was thinking Fez.
Takes us to Fez. Yeah, Fez is a good game. Another cool developer guy who's not at all problematic. All right. Last game, tiebreaker. Where to start? The game features an open-world environment and action-based battle system, incorporating quick-switching weapons, elemental magic, and other features such as vehicle travel and camping. The base campaign was later expanded with downloadable content, adding further gameplay options such as additional player characters and multiplayer. Ewan.
Is this New World?
It is not New World.
James.
It's not vehicles.
James.
Is it Final Fantasy 15?
It is Final Fantasy 15. Well done, James. Disgusting. Look, we all knew James was going to win it. It's just a matter of by how much. And so...
We made him work for it, though, Shannon.
Well done,
I'm proud of us. We got a point each out of
when
it
you
as
cheated
well.
me out of that first point, I think
I don't know about that.
Wow.
I don't know about that. The jury will let us know. Your number one fan will let us know.
Yeah. Actually, we need a new segment, James's fan mail.
You haven't answered him either. Do you want to quickly address that? Should they wait to play the DLC or should they wait for the VR version? Mr. Capcom.
I would play the DLC. It's great. I love it. You should not miss out on it.
You heard it here first.
Did we want to provide some context as to what the message was for people that didn't read the message?
I think that was the question. Someone asked James if they should play... Is it What's it called?
Separate ways,
right?
Separate ways.
Yeah.
Separate ways now or wait for the VR version. And James has said play it. And then play it again. And
Absolutely.
Again,
play it again when VR comes out. Absolutely.
But the key
Who doesn't
point
want to be
is
Ada?
that they signed off the message.
Go back and play it on PS2, 3, 4 as well.
James
No,
is number one
okay.
fan.
That's a different game, but that's fine. Anyway. I don't see. We should all have a fan mail segment and read our fan mail together. What some people...
James, you're the only person
you want to
that
compare
has
the
that
piles.
segment.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't help it. The people want to speak to me. Sorry. Go.
With that, let's bring an end to this week's episode of the Press Start podcast. Once again, brought to you by SteelSeries and their new range of Alias microphones. Subscribe to us on Listener or the podcast service of your choice. Follow us at PressStartAU and visit the site at pressstart.com.au. We've been joined today by Shannon.
Yeah, you can follow me at Shannon Grixty on all platforms.
Swamped in fan mail, it was James.
Yes, I am very approachable, so please reach out. All queries can be sent to at Jams, ATJMZ.
Says the man
X.
who actively avoids us at PAX every year, but that's fine.
Well, wasn't invited this year, so.
And doing a marvelous job hosting What the Wiki was Brody.
Thank you. You can follow me on most things at Brody_DG.
And I've been your host, Ewan Roxburgh. You can follow me on Twitter at Ewan_Roxburgh. Thanks again for tuning in. And until next time, happy gaming.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
I just fell into like an old routine and said Twitter as well, rather than socials. Mistakes.